Hi, my name's Daniel. Today we'll be diving into a grieving man's honest and vulnerable journal entries published in C.S. Lewis's A Grief Observed. After his wife passed, he used these journal entries to sift through what he called his mad midnight moments, dealing with grief, sadness, loss. C.S. Lewis even struggled with the idea of grief itself. Was his grief actually what his wife would have wanted? The amazing thing about this book is that it is completely raw. I don't believe that C.S. Lewis ever had any intent to publish his journal entries, to publish his thoughts. His wife had passed away, and he used a series of 4 journal entries to write down his thoughts on what was happening. Journal entry from journal entry, C.S. Lewis goes back. He says, "This is what I was feeling at this time. I've had more time to process the grief that I'm going through. Let me analyze my old thoughts. Why did I feel that way? And how do I feel now that I've had time to digest what has happened, to really feel and move on?" This book is incredibly unique because C.S. Lewis is sharing with the reader his thoughts about the loss of his spouse. He is completely raw in his journal entries. One thing that I find fascinating is that it's almost like C.S. Lewis writes more elegantly in his own journal entries than he does in his books. He doesn't skip a beat. These journal entries are incredibly beautifully written, and his thoughts are equally as raw and vulnerable. You can see him struggling with the idea of his faith. Is God good? What kind of God do I worship? Do I believe in heaven? Is heaven the simple thing that they show us in children's books with puffy clouds and gold everywhere and everybody's smiling and happy? What really does happen after death? Now, the book is called A Grief Observed. The point is that not everybody will deal with death the same way that C.S. Lewis dealt with it. The foreword of the book is written by Madeline L'Engle, and she says that she read the book and she had one experience understanding her thoughts. And then she dealt with loss in her own very personal way. And it was like the book was brand new and came to life in a way that she never understood. So somebody who is dealing with grief could absolutely resonate with the way that C.S. Lewis feels. And now, like I said, it is a grief observed, so not everybody will have the exact same response. Everybody will deal with grief in their own way. These are C.S. Lewis's thoughts. This isn't a book that he was trying to put together to make it eloquent and graceful. This is raw and emotional, and his stepson later published it for him. C.S. Lewis gives purpose to his grief. He said that his faith was like a house of cards, and only an event like this would show him how fragile that his faith was. Only whenever the house of cards was completely trampled over did he realize that he needed to build his faith up from the ground up once again. He also used the analogy of a rope. It's fine and dandy to have a rope and say, this rope could absolutely hold my weight. This rope is strong. This rope is good. Like you could say, my faith is strong. My faith is good. But only when you're hanging from the edge of a cliff using that rope do you really show whether or not you trust its durability. C.S. Lewis does not hesitate to ask, is God good? Who is God in this moment? Because although somebody of sober thought can say, of course God is good, of course there's a heaven, of course there's a hell, of course these are the things we were always taught, and that makes sense. But in your deepest, darkest moments, he is honest with himself. He doesn't just read himself the literature and go along with it. He asks real questions. And on the other side, his faith was stronger because of it, not weaker because of it. His faith that was a house of cards crumbled down, and he saw that what he was believing before was shallow, was fake, and needed to be rebuilt up. C.S. Lewis is my philosophical hero. In reading about him having questions about heaven, asking himself, is heaven like it is written in the children's books? What is heaven actually? Where is my wife? Where is she? Does she want me to be thinking about her? Does she want me to be grieving for her? He's asking some very tough, big questions that I think would be important for us to ask ourselves. It's absolutely heartbreaking that he lost his wife after so short of a time, that she was battling cancer, that she was taken away from him. And I'm honored to have been able to read A Grief Observed. I'm honored that C.S. Lewis shared his thoughts with the world, that his stepson published this book, and then we get to see C.S. Lewis write down his midnight madness thoughts, his grieving thoughts, and then analyze those thoughts and then rewrite his thoughts on his thoughts. Such a brilliant man in a dark moment. One of a kind, must read 100%. I've been working my way through C.S. Lewis's signature classics, and I must say that these books are absolutely amazing. I'm almost completely done, and I can't wait to do more videos. If you want to see more book reviews about C.S. Lewis or any other books, please subscribe to my channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like this video. I hope that I see you guys soon. Have an absolutely wonderful day.